Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this episode, I wanted to go ahead and talk about some of the key factors to summertime bass fishing success that I think are really important. There's really two things, really three things that I want to talk about today that you really want to look for, okay? The first one is gonna be wind. Wind is huge this time of year. Today we've got this nice breeze. It's probably blowing like 10 or 12 miles an hour, perfect for summertime fishing. The last thing I want to see when I'm fishing in the summertime is flat, calm conditions where you don't have some wind. And wind is really important for a lot of different reasons during the summer. And you know, a lot of people think that wind is good all year round. To me, that's just not true, you know, all the time. You know, wind can be good year round, but like seasons like during the spring, when you're the fish are looking for the warmest water, wind can actually really drop the water temperature. If you're talking about the air temperature being cold and you having wind on top of that, it can really drop the water temperatures. But during the summertime, it can only help, you know, cool the water a little bit, but also churn it up. It's not necessarily that the wind is cooling the water, it's that it's churning it up and kind of creating a current. And if a lake is fairly stagnant and it doesn't have current, wind is the next best thing, man, because wind can really create that current, and it really gets the whole ecosystem activated. The bait fish become more active and they start getting pushed into areas. That's a big key about wind, is that I like to really look for those windy areas during the summertime. Windy banks can, you know, especially if there's like a lot of clay or mud on the shoreline, can create a really good mud line, which it creates shade for those fish on a bank that otherwise doesn't have any cover, and also creates like a edge that the fish can ambush prey on. And the wind, you know, even if it's not creating like a mud line, it's going to get fish more active on structure, you know, things like long tapering points. In fact, I was just you know, a few minutes ago fishing a long tapering point over here that really, you know, had some grass growing on it, and that was like the only other attraction feature, but it had the wind blowing over the tip of the point. And I knew, in fact, I did a video on it before I even made a cast on that point. I was like, I'm going to do a video on it because I know I'm going to get bit. And I picked up a chatterbait, fished it on that windy, you know, end of the point, and caught like 6 or 7 fish like that. So wind can be a really good predictor of success on structure, you know. The last thing I want to see is, like, if I'm fishing like a long tapering point, I don't want calm conditions. I want some wind blowing over that point. So wind is a really, really big deal this time of year. And another big factor that you guys really need to pay attention to is shade. Okay, shade is a huge factor during the summertime. I think that especially shallow fish, they need that shade. You know, the deep fish, and there's a lot of fish deep. The deep fish, just the depth is kind of their sanctuary, their shade. You know, you got cooler temperatures down there and it starts getting darker, and they can ambush prey, you know, real efficient in deeper depths without like having an actual roof over their head. But, you know, for shallow fishermen like myself, shade is very important. So looking for horizontal types of cover, like boat docks or overhanging trees or grass mats, you know, anything that creates that horizontal roof over their heads. Just think of a roof. That's really important this time of year because that will reduce the water temperature and allow those fish to have a place where they can ambush prey from the shadows. Okay, so think about you know, shadowy areas. It doesn't matter what it is. It just matters where it is, you know. And for me, if I'm fishing shallow and I'm looking for shade lines or cover that's creating shade, I'm looking for stuff that is primarily on the main lake. That's why docks on main lake areas are so important during the summertime. You know, I may focus on docks in the backs of creeks during the summer or the spring and the fall, but the summertime, it's all about like those main lake and main creek channel, you know, types of cover, those docks. And the same goes for any type of cover that is offering that shade. So just keep that in mind. The final factor that is super important this time of year, and it probably should have been right after the wind because it really relates to the wind, but it is current. Current is ultra important, and that's why wind is so important, because it can create current on lakes that generally have no current. But there's plenty of fisheries. Most fisheries around the country have some sort of generation schedule. You know, I live on the Tennessee River, and lakes like Chickamauga, Guntersville, you know, Watts Bar, Pickwick, all those lakes, they've got a pretty hefty generation schedule. And that's why, you know, anglers that fish those fisheries often, they have, you know, the TVA app on their phone, and they're constantly looking at when they plan on generating current and what kind of current is being pulled right now. Because current is super important for fish during the summertime, more so than any other time of the year, because, you know, the fish during the summer, especially like late May, June, and early July, these fish really set up on structure that is right in that current. I always thought that like if you were fishing a ledge or something like that, the fish would be on the eddy side, so like the back side of something. So I always look for like, you know, areas where the current drops into deeper water. I always thought that those fish would be on that deeper side where you know, that hypothetical eddy would be. But no, those fish are, the fish during the summertime are like on the front of structure. So like if you have a ledge and you've got current blasting into that rise, that ledge, those fish are going to be right there at the top, right in the thick of that current. Now there is going to be some natural currents that we just don't see, that the fish can really efficiently hang out in and not expend a bunch of energy, but they're going to be right in that current, faced and right into it, and waiting for, you know, bait fish to come right to them. So current is really important, and you know, that's why timing is so important during the summertime, because you could fish like the best spot on a lake like Lake Chickamauga and not get a bite for hours. And then all of a sudden, after you leave, somebody shows up 30 minutes later when they start pulling some current, and they just load the boat. And it can get really frustrating, and it has to be, it's something that you have to plan for and really understand how it affects the fish. But no matter what lake you're on, current is very important, whether it's natural current, whether it's man-made drawn current, or it's wind-blown current, or even like, you know, boat traffic current can be pretty good too. You know, boat traffic current can be a big deal. You know, sometimes during the summertime, I will look for heavy boat traffic and go fish those areas, because I know that those boats are churning up the water, and a lot of cases they're going to be creating some sort of current. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to do this video as kind of a reminder of those 3 different factors that you really should pay attention to during the summertime. Hopefully this helps you, and hopefully you can go out there, get all 3 of those things at once, and load the boat. So thank you for watching. If you guys enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, the like button, and share it with your friends. That is a great way to support the channel. In fact, it's the best way to support this channel. So thank you so much. I'm going to see you out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.